Backbones of Britain on the road this week, the army in rush hour and parents as taxi drivers.
Got to be extra careful when we're going down the narrow roads not to scratch somebody's nice Porsche.
And how one mum clocks up 300+ miles a week ferrying her teenage kids around town. Plus the counterculture views of the VW Combi clan, man.
I'd be very happy actually to live in this and let my flat out in London.
And as usual, we've got driving instructor Peter Pitsey and the most upfront car reviewers anywhere on telly, White Van Man and Green Welly Woman.
One of the things I think that happens when you become a mother, certainly what I've realised is instead of getting in my car and to go somewhere that I want to go, I'm getting into my car and going somewhere that somebody else wants to go. And I'm being driven crazy by driving other people to places that I don't want to go to.
Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bang, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bang, bang.
Don't you just love school holidays? Ever wonder why the jam runs on some days and sticks on others? Well, the school runs are to blame. An estimated 1 in 4 cars in the ever-extending British rush hour. There's been a 60% increase in the number of kids going by car since the 80s, and that number is going up. So, meet Bo, Elliot and Tara, 3 typical teenagers who love walking to school.
Yeah. No. I never walk. I'm too lazy to walk.
I never walk to school, it's too far.
So I get a lift.
Well, I cycle most of the time.
My mum picks my brothers up.
If I'm lucky.
Very occasionally.
Apart from that, not really.
Mum would rather be riding a Harley, but instead she's stuck on the school run.
Over a period of a week, I do about 300 miles, and none of the journeys are longer than 4 miles, which averages 180 journeys a week. If I think about it, I can't imagine how, but I must do if over a period of a week, I use a tank of petrol.
So we set the speedo to 0 and we'll be back to check out the week's mileage. Green Welly woman Henrietta's out with her 6-year-old daughter Bella as it's Kids' Day Out for our car reviewers this week.
I think the Pottery Cafe is a fantastic thing. It's marvellous to be able to make presents for, you know, mum and dad and grandparents.
It's a bow, and the middle bit is the beach, and it's for my friend Beth.
While we leave Bella creating a masterpiece, down at Hackney City Farm, White Van Man Dave Legend and his 8-year-old daughter Wendy are arriving. Dave has to be an inventive dad to occupy Wendy.
No telling, because sometimes they're happy just playing around in a field, and other times you've got to take them to Fort Park, Cheshire World Adventures, and Alton Towers all in one day, just to stop them moaning.
Fulham, luckily, is a very easy place. There's a lot of places we can go to without, in fact, getting in the car.
Wendy's found her way into the rabbit house.
I want that one. Let's buy it.
You want which one?
We're going to buy that one. We're going to buy that one.
Oh, we are we?
Yeah.
Children like coming here. They like sitting down and actually being peaceful.
But will Wendy get her rabbit?
I'd like a rabbit now, I'm holding it.
After coping with their kids, how will Henrietta and Dave cope with the new Lexus IS200? With a 2-litre engine and 6-speed gearbox, it has a top speed well in excess of 130 miles per hour. This car can move, and it's competitively priced at just under 23 grand. But have Toyota done enough to displace its main rival, the BMW 3 Series, in our reviewers' affections?
I've always wanted a Lexus, even when I did find out they was made by Toyota. But this one, it's the newest one, IS200, and it looks really chunky. A bit small. Let's try it out. Come on, let's go.
Look at this. This is the most fantastic looking car I've ever seen. So exciting. Look at all this. Oh, cool. Can't wait to have a go.
It still feels like a small car. But it's got a lovely control panel, if that makes up for anything.
It's lovely because it makes that wonderful sort of noise. that makes you feel like you're in a bit of a sporty car. I like it a lot.
The car's really functional. You know, it's got everything you need, and it drives nicely. It's not that exciting. The seats, made it a bit sporty.
I think this car would appeal to anybody. Nobody could not want this car.
Everything's solid. It's totally solid in here. Nothing wrong with it at all.
It's a really good quality car. I mean, it's just lovely.
But the more I'm driving it, the more I'm liking it. I'm getting used to the way it feels.
Why should people like Mercedes and BMW have the whole of this sort of top of the range, or well, I suppose it's not quite top of the range, although this car feels top of the range, market? Let Lexus in, you know, let's have some competition.
It's lovely to drive. The only thing I don't, it just feels a bit small inside for me, and from the outside it's a small car as well.
Wonderful car to drive, wonderful to look at. I have very, very few complaints. I loved it. Everything's fingertip control, perfect.
Okay, I had my doubts about it at first, but the more I drive it, the more I like it. And getting out again and looking at it, standing here in Regent's Park, it's beautiful. I love it. It's lovely, chunky, individual looking. It's a pleasure to drive. It's not a racing car, but it's quick enough. Yeah, I really like it a lot.
Dawn in North London, and the early morning traffic is about to come face to face with the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery. They set off from St John's Wood at dawn every morning, exercising for the many royal parades they'll perform. In the battle between car and cavalry, it's up to Captain Tony Bramwell to negotiate the armistice.
It's amazing the diversity of reaction you get, actually. Some people are very pleased to see the horses on the road. Others just in such a hurry to get to work that they don't really give a stuff whether or not we get to do our job properly or not. The horses are actually quite good because they go out every day in traffic. They're used to seeing buses and skips and lorries, but occasionally one of them will get spooked, and it's not unknown for a car to be kicked. Parked cars, moving cars, and unfortunately I'm the person on the end of the telephone when the accident report comes in. Yeah. Because we live in St John's Wood and the area being what it is, we've got some very expensive cars around the corner, and we've got to be extra careful when we're going down the narrow roads not to
Driving instructor Peter Pitsey, and how far did school-run Supermum drive? Coming up, Peace, Love and Road Rage by Combi Man, and instructor Peter Pitsey.
Ramona, I'm going to shoot you.
But first, just how many miles did school-run Mum Jane cover in 1 week?
There are school plays, tennis, ballet, after-school clubs, parents' evenings, detention, charity runs, basketball, cricket practice, rounders, spring sales, swimming. There are second-hand uniform sales, netball, driving lesson, party. It's endless toing and froing, and if one did all that endless toing and froing on public transport, there would be no time to work.
As well as running a full-time private chauffeur service for her kids, Jane also runs an acting and modelling agency for other peoples.
The new children who join the agency have to have their photographs taken. A lot of them get me to photograph them. So I have to go down to a local studio to do that. I need to go to castings to see how the kids are getting on, and all these things have to be fitted into quite a short day. I have to know when I finish my shoot that I can get from A to B in 20 minutes.
But does she support the school run?
I am very in favour of people getting out of their cars and walking wherever they need to go, or taking a bus. However, it's cheaper to drive your kids to school because buses and trains are expensive. I worked out that it costs 3 times as much for them to go on public transport than it does to drive. I've got a car anyway, I insure the car, I drive the car, it's on the road. What is the point of putting them on a bus? It means getting up at 6:30 rather than 7. I drive the children to school because I actually enjoy spending half an hour with them in the morning. It's nice.
If I'm feeling lazy, I just get a lift.
Or make up some other excuse.
I'm not going to be late for school and stuff.
Because my bag's too big and weighs too much.
I don't have any money for the bus.
That's my excuse anyway.
I think I've cracked my toenail.
I actually have hurt my leg there.
I take the train sometimes.
I don't mind taking the bus to school, but my mum does it anyway, so... Because Bo won't take the bus, neither will Elliot.
Don't do that very often.
No.
Depends how many buses you can possibly get. If you can only get one, then you can be sitting there for sort of 45 minutes waiting for a bus.
The train's better than the bus.
It's not nearly so bad because you know when it's leaving.
If it's dark, I've got quite a long walk home.
You have to wait at the bus stop for ages.
In an ideal world, every parent would want their kids to go to school on public transport, but we don't live in an ideal world. Parents are worried about their children's well-being, and politicians should practice what they preach.
And there are other reasons to take the car.
Ting ting.
One of my main concerns is that their bags are incredibly heavy, and there is a lot of research to say that children these days have terrible back problems when they get older. And I've tried lifting my kids' bags, and quite honestly, I would not be wanting to walk half a mile to get a bus and then spend all day walking around huge campuses carrying all that stuff.
So, it's out with the bathroom scales for a weigh-in. First, the coffin at 3 stone, containing cricket and sports gear. Sports bag, just under 2 stone. School books, over 1 stone, with an accumulated total for a typical day at school of just under 7 stone of luggage.
And I felt it was safe. I would love them to cycle to school. I think it's very good for them, but it's not safe, and they won't wear those helmets. And it's another thing to have to drag around with you once you get to school. And if it's raining, you've got to then also drag around with you all your waterproof clothing. And our middle child cycles to school, and he has to cycle up quite a steep hill, that he is breathless and he can actually feel the pollution in his lungs. So I gave him one of these masks that you can wear, and it's disgusting.
So, after a week of school runs, sports runs, after-school clubs and general entertainments, the reading on the car Speedo is an incredible 364 miles.
Parents are made to feel much more anxious than maybe their parents were. And it might not be that it's any more dangerous now, but it feels like it. All parents, I think, want their children to go to the local school. They can walk with their friends from their house, but the fact is that there aren't enough places necessarily in local schools for all the local children to get in there. Until we get schools sorted out, we are always going to have parents driving kids around.
This week on Yours Provisionally, Peter Pitsey, driving me crazy's instructor for the very nervous, takes an unusual pupil under his wing, Romana from Bangladesh.
Romana's been with me on this second occasion for about 5 or 6 weeks. Previously I saw her last year, and we did about 12 hours, and she went back home to Bangladesh for a while, and she's come back, and we're trying again.
Romana is finding great difficulty in mastering the rules and regulations of driving in England, and is possibly the only person in London who thinks there's not enough traffic on our roads.
Bangladesh is, it's a very overpopulated country. We have not only cars, we have bicycles, rickshaws, buses, so many cars in front of me. But in here, we don't have much jam, but so many rules and restrictions here, so I have to learn first to drive here.
Unusually, Peter's a bit tetchy today, with Romana testing his legendary patience to the max.
Romana, I'm going to shoot you. What have you got to do before you signal? Yeah, good girl. You're getting the approaches sorted out, you're getting the actual turn sorted out. Now don't forget the details. And don't you dare ask me where to go now. And don't use the handbrake until you've stopped the car completely.
Romana's driving results in some rather close calls.
Take your time. Next time that happens, and you put your brake on and not swerve out, or press it harder and keep straight. It was okay. There was nothing coming past you, but there could have been. We've been working on more or less everything. More or less had to start from scratch to get it in a safe manner. Had to get everything in order. I think you'll find Romana refers to this as rules and regulations. And we have to do things in a certain order to make it safe so that she can pass a test. And she's just beginning to catch on.
Romana is extremely keen to pass her test and is already planning for the day she can drive.
When I'll pass my tests, I'll take my favourite car, BMW Z3, and I want to go through Paris with that car.
But until then, she must master clutch control and her instructor's rare and rising temper.
Turn it all the way as quickly as possible. Put the clutch down. Put the clutch on the floor. Put the clutch on the floor. Press the gas pedal. Put the clutch down. Put it down. Now leave the clutch down. We haven't got any gas. You cannot keep pulling the clutch up without any gas. Then pull the clutch up. And just stop by the tree. Over to your left a bit more. Put the clutch down again. And it's not very close to the pavement. Stop.
Join us next week on Yours Provisionally for more Nervous Drivers. Up to now, we've been driving with the British establishment. Time for some counterculture. Meet the man with the combi van.
I think the people who are buying them now will initially try and pick up the cool aspect of it and wear their jeans a bit looser and their shirts out of their trousers and may even put jewellery on or something, change the way they speak. In the long run, I think that VW will actually have an effect on them and they'll end up becoming a better person for it. They're very practical. On a daily basis, to get to and from work around London, go shopping, go visit friends in the country, go down the coast. Use it all the time. It's the main form of transport. You know, you don't have to get anywhere because you're kind of already there if you just pull over. It's got heaps of storage space for food. It's got the fridge.
I'd be very happy actually just to live in this and let my flat out in London. Unfortunately, it doesn't have bathroom facilities.
I would never drive a different car again. The vista from being that high up and having no bonnet, excellent for starters. You can see things a mile off and you know you've got at least half an hour before you get there, so you can, you know, if there's an accident you can slow down. You're probably not going that quick anyway.
And the decor?
The original owners painted some daisies on it. And then I wanted to give it a name, and Lisa thought it was a bit hippie with the daisies on it as it was, so it never got a name, but I've managed to improve on the paintwork and put a few more daisies on it. It puts smiles on a lot of people's faces. There's no way you could possibly commit any form of road rage in this vehicle, which is good. I think it's a reverse effect because the van actually makes you become more patient. Because people don't expect you to lose your cool and start screaming at people, hooting and the like.
So, no road rage. But has he had any prangs?
There's been one incident.
I have crashed it, yes.
I was absolutely shattered.
I was reversing out of a petrol station and crushed the bumper, back bumper. I told him that somebody's crushed it during a night.
But my astute bit of detective work made me go to the parking spot and look for flakes of paint on the ground, but there weren't any. Then when Lisa came home with the car that evening, I noticed that the scratch marks, which she said were orange paint, were actually brick. Now, brick walls generally don't move about in the middle of the night.
After about a couple of weeks, I had to tell the real story.
When she did tell me, I did tell her that I had sort of suspected that she had taken out a wall.
But is Garp obsessed?
I have met people on the internet who are absolutely obsessed. They make me look like everyone kind of salutes each other on the roads. Vans just kind of hook up with each other and slot in behind each other and just travel in a huge big convoy, which is fun, you know, and everyone kind of waving at each other in rearview mirrors and overtaking and hooting. It's kind of a nice thing to do. Yeah, maybe the whole world should buy VWs. I think it's not about that. It's about the relaxedness, the fact that people aren't so uptight. it's a hippie car, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
In 2 weeks, we'll be following the Combi Van Trail on their annual Run to the Sun.